The galaxy had known peace for many years, but it was a peace built on fear. Fear of the Empire, fear of their fleets, and fear of the secrets buried in their past. Most citizens did not know the truth. Only the old records whispered of a forgotten species, a species once called humanity. But humanity had vanished centuries ago. Some believed they were extinct. Others believed they ran into the dark, never to return. In the end, everyone agreed on one thing. Humans were gone. And it was better that way. At least, that was what the Empire told them. High above the galactic core, an Imperial cruiser drifted through the quiet dark. The ship's officers were relaxed. Patrol duty here was easy. No pirates, no rebels, no threats. Only stars and silence. Captain Reland stood at the command deck, staring out at the glowing core. He felt a strange tension in the air, though he did not know why. His instincts told him something was wrong. "Captain," the sensor officer said, frowning at his console, "we have an anomaly." "What type?" Reland asked. "That's the problem," the officer replied. "I don't know." Before anyone could react, every sensor across the ship flickered, cracked, and then went completely black. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Communications dropped. Navigation froze. It felt as if reality itself had glitched. "Report!" Reland shouted. "No readings, sir. All systems overloaded at once." Then a young officer whispered words no one had spoken in generations. "It's them. It has to be them." "Who?" Reland demanded. The officer looked terrified. "The Deathworlders." The bridge fell silent. Even breathing seemed too loud. The idea was impossible. Humans were gone, erased by time. But the stars outside the viewport began to twist, folding into a bright tear in space. A ship emerged. It was enormous, far larger than any Imperial design. Its surface was dark and scarred, covered in heavy armor plates and glowing lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. Along its hull, deep burn marks showed where it had survived things no normal species could face. And on the ship's side, half-burned but still clear, was an ancient symbol. The flag of Earth. No one on the bridge recognized it, but the ship's database did. A quiet alarm pinged, and a forgotten file opened automatically. A single word appeared on every screen. "Human." The crew stared in shock. "Open a channel," Reland ordered, his voice trembling. The comms officer tried. "Sir, they are not responding." The human ship remained silent, drifting like a giant shadow. Then, without warning, panels along its hull opened. Energy built. The air hummed with power so strong it made the ship shake. "They're charging a weapon," someone shouted. "Raise shields." Too late. A beam of white fire shot across space, bending light around it. The Imperial cruiser's shields lasted less than 1 second. The beam tore through 3 ships at once, leaving nothing but burning metal. The survivors watched in horror. Then a message appeared on every screen, written in an old Earth language, but translated instantly by the computer. "Humanity has come to collect the debt." The bridge went silent again. Reland exhaled slowly, realizing the truth. The Empire had lied. Humanity had not died. They had not been defeated. They had not been erased. They had only been waiting. And now they were back. The Deathworlders had returned. And the galaxy would tremble. The destruction of the Imperial patrol fleet spread across the galaxy within hours. Signals raced through communication relays, passing from world to world like wildfire. Every message repeated the same chilling phrase: "Humanity has returned." For most citizens, the name meant nothing. Just an old myth. But for the Empire, it meant panic. Far from the battle site, on the shining world of Valek Prime, the Imperial High Council gathered in a private chamber. The room was tall and cold, filled with marble pillars and statues celebrating past victories. None of the statues mentioned humanity. The Empire had made sure of that. Councillor Varin slammed his fist on the table. One ship, one human ship destroyed an entire patrol line. How is such a thing possible? "We covered up their history," another councillor muttered. "Covered it too well, perhaps. Even our own officers do not understand what humanity once was." They were primitives, Varin snapped. A young species. A mistake. They should not even exist now. But Counselor Tress shook his head. His skin was pale, and fear trembled in his voice. You forget, Varin. Humanity did not die. We left them to burn. We closed our borders. We lied to our people. But we never confirmed their extinction. We simply hoped. A cold silence settled over the room. Hope had failed. Back at the ruins of the patrol fleet, the lone surviving cruiser drifted in space. Fires burned along its hull, and its engines sputtered out one by one. Inside, Captain Reland sat in the command chair, breathing hard. He replayed the last moments of the battle over and over in his mind. The beam of light. The burning ships. The message. Humanity has come to collect the debt. What debt? What had the Empire done? Reland didn't know. The records were sealed. But the fear he saw in the ancient file, the way the word human flashed red on the screens, that fear was real. His thoughts broke when the sensor station suddenly beeped to life. Captain, the officer shouted. The human ship, it's not leaving. It's broadcasting something. Broadcasting what? The officer gulped. A signal. Wide range. It's a message to the entire galaxy. Reland felt the hairs on his neck rise. Put it on screen. For a moment, there was only static. Then a shape appeared, a human figure, covered in dark armor, face hidden behind a visor glowing faint blue. Behind them, rows of other armored humans stood like statues. The figure spoke in a calm, steady voice. People of the galaxy, we are the descendants of Earth. We were betrayed long ago. Our home was used, then abandoned. Our billions died. The Empire thought we would break. A pause. The voice grew heavier. We did not break. Reland felt a chill crawl up his spine. We survived in the dark. We learned. We rebuilt. And now, we have returned to correct the past. The background behind the human shifted, showing horrific images. Earth burning under alien fire, cities collapsing, families running through ash. Reland's stomach twisted. This was the truth the Empire had hidden. We do not seek war with your worlds, the human continued. Only justice. The Empire must answer for its crimes. We will not harm innocents. But we will not stop. The signal ended. The human fleet did not attack again. Instead, their ship turned toward the next Imperial outpost, moving with cold purpose. Reland looked at his shaken crew. This was not an invasion. This was a reckoning. And humanity had only just begun. The human message spread through the galaxy like a storm, shaking every government and every citizen. Some feared humanity. Some doubted the message. Others, especially those who suffered under the Empire for years, whispered a quiet hope. But on the Imperial border world Cardos, 7, hope was the last thing anyone felt. It was one of the Empire's strongest military outposts, with massive shield generators, orbital cannons, and thousands of soldiers. The Empire believed Cardos, 7 could stop anything. They had no idea what was coming. General Solvar, commander of the outpost, stood on the balcony overlooking the city. He was proud of Cardos, 7. The buildings were tall. The defenses were solid. Soldiers trained every day. No pirate, rebel, or enemy fleet had ever captured this world. But then an alarm screamed across the sky. "General!" an officer shouted from the balcony door. "Anomaly detected. Something is entering the system." Solvar narrowed his eyes. "How many ships?" The officer stared at his tablet, face pale. "One." Solvar frowned. "Just one. Probably a smuggler. Prepare the fleet." The officer's voice broke. "Sir, it's a human ship." Solvar froze. "Impossible." But when he looked up at the sky, he saw it, breaking through the clouds like a falling star. A colossal dark shape, engines glowing blue, leaving a trail of light behind it. The same ship that destroyed the patrol fleet. The same ship that sent a message to the entire galaxy. The same ship carrying the children of Earth. Inside the command center, officers panicked as the ship approached. Screens flickered with warnings. Targeting systems struggled to lock on. "Fire all orbital cannons," Solvar ordered. Massive beams shot into the sky, crossing through the clouds like spears of light. Explosion after explosion erupted around the human ship. But the ship didn't fall. It didn't break. It didn't slow. It moved through the fire like it didn't matter. "Our cannons are not touching it," an officer cried. "Impossible," Solvar shouted again. "Increase power now." Before the cannons could recharge, the human ship released a single pulse of energy. Not a bright beam. Not an explosion. Just a quiet ripple in the air. And every orbital cannon shut down at once. Panic filled the city. Sirens howled. Soldiers ran through the streets. Civilians hid inside their homes. The human ship lowered until it hovered just above the central plaza. Its shadow stretched across the city like a giant hand. The air vibrated with its presence. For the first time in generations, the Empire felt small. Then the humans arrived. A platform opened beneath the ship. Figures dropped down, landing with heavy thuds. They wore dark armor, tall and strong, their helmets glowing with blue light. There were only 12 of them. Just 12. And yet, the Empire trembled. General Solvar stood in front of his troops, trying to look brave. "Identify yourselves," he demanded. One of the armored humans stepped forward. His voice was calm, even soft, but each word carried power. "We are humanity. We did not come to conquer your world. We came for the Empire's records. Give us access to the archives." Solvar gritted his teeth. "You threaten us and expect us to cooperate?" The human tilted his head. "We do not threaten. We warn." Solvar raised his hand to signal an attack. But before he could speak, every weapon in the area fell silent. Guns jammed. Cannons froze. Drones shut down. Even Solvar's personal pistol locked itself. The humans had disabled everything, without touching a single soldier. The lead human stepped closer. "We do not want to hurt your people. But the Empire will answer for its crimes. Do not stand in our way." Solvar stared into the glowing visor. For the first time, he understood. This was not a war. This was justice. And Cardos, 7 would be the first of many worlds to face the truth. The archive building of Cardos, 7 stood like a giant stone fortress at the center of the city. Tall black towers, sealed data vaults, and thick armored doors protected the Empire's most dangerous secrets. Generations of citizens were told these archives contained military blueprints, research logs, and historical documents. But the truth was far darker. And the humans knew it. General Solvar marched beside the armored human team, anger and confusion twisting inside him. He had never been this close to a human before. They walked with slow, steady confidence, like they had seen 1,000 battlefields and feared none. The citizens of Cardos, 7 watched from their windows and rooftops. No one dared to shout. No one dared to resist. The presence of the humans felt heavy, like gravity itself had deepened. Solvar finally spoke. "Why here? Cardos, 7 is only a border world." The lead human replied without turning. "Because your archives contain the first sealed records. The Empire hid the truth on the worlds it believed were most loyal." Solvar clenched his jaw. "What truth?" "You will see." When they reached the archive entrance, the city guards rushed forward, but their weapons flickered and shut down instantly, just like before. The guards froze in fear. The lead human placed his hand against the giant armored door. Blue lines spread from his palm, crawling across the metal surface like cracks of light. A second later, the door recognized a code Solvar had never seen. The heavy vault doors unlocked. With a slow grinding sound, the entrance opened. The air inside was cold and stale, like a place that had not been touched in centuries. Rows of data pillars stretched into the distance, glowing faintly. Holograms flickered overhead. Everything was silent. The humans moved with purpose. They had been here before, maybe not this exact place, but places like it. They knew what to look for. Solvar followed them deeper, unable to stop himself. And then he saw something that made his blood run cold. a wall covered in old star maps. On each map, one planet was circled in bright red. Earth. One of the humans touched a data pillar. A hologram appeared, old footage taken from space. At first, Solvar didn't understand what he was seeing. Then the planet came into view. Blue oceans. White clouds. A green world. Earth. The hologram changed. The sky turned black with smoke. Explosions tore across continents. Ships rained fire from orbit. Solvar felt his throat tighten. Another hologram appeared, Empire officials discussing strategy. Earth will hold the enemy back, one voice said. No need to warn them, said another. If we close the borders, the enemy will hit humans first. They will die, but we will survive. The humans watched silently. Solvar's hands shook. He had known the Empire had committed questionable acts, but this was something else. You used Earth as a shield, the lead human said quietly. And then you left us to burn. Solvar felt sick. He stepped back, unable to look the humans in the eye. Images continued to play, families running through rubble, burning forests, drowned cities. Earth fighting alone against an enemy the Empire could have helped defeat. Human civilians dying. Human soldiers screaming through static. Human children hiding under collapsed buildings. The last image showed a message recorded by a human commander centuries ago. His voice was weak, but steady. To any survivors, we will not forget this betrayal. If we live, we will return. Not for revenge. For justice. The recording ended. Silence filled the vault. General Solvar sank to his knees. We never knew. The Empire told us humans attacked first, that Earth fell because it was weak. The armored human shook his head. No. Earth fell because the Empire lied. And because our people trusted them. Solvar looked up slowly. What will you do now? The human stepped away from the holograms. We will finish what they began. The Empire must answer for this. He turned toward the exit, his armor glowing in the dim light. And their time has run out. The humans left the vault, leaving Solvar alone. For the first time in his life, he understood. The Empire was not the hero of the galaxy. The Empire was the villain. And humanity had returned, not to conquer, but to reveal the truth. The news from Cardos, 7 traveled faster than light. Everywhere, screens lit up with leaked recordings of Earth's fall. Citizens stood in silence as they watched the truth the Empire had hidden for centuries. Earth burning. Human children crying. Empire leaders choosing to sacrifice an entire world. Some cried. Some shouted in anger. Some refused to believe it. But everyone felt the same thing. The Empire had lied. And now the Empire was afraid. Inside the Imperial Palace on Volek Prime, panic flooded the halls. High officials rushed back and forth, voices raised, orders clashing. No one knew what to do. No one had ever seen the Empire threatened like this. Councillor Varen stormed into the throne chamber, red-faced, shouting. This is a disaster. Humans have exposed everything. The border worlds are questioning our authority. Across the room, Councillor Tress stood with his hands folded behind his back. His voice was calm but heavy. We should have told the truth long ago, he said. Now the people demand answers. Varen slammed his fist against the table. We cannot show weakness. Prepare the Grand Fleet. We will destroy the human ship. Someone in the room whispered. They destroyed a patrol line alone. How do you expect? Silence. Varen snapped. If we show fear, the galaxy will collapse. Councillor Tress shook his head slowly. It is too late. Fear has already taken root. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, aboard the human flagship Iron Resolve, Commander Hale stood on the bridge, staring at the star maps floating above the table. His face was hidden behind a helmet, but his voice carried years of grief and cold purpose. Cardos 7 is secure, one officer reported. Local forces have agreed to stand down. Many of them, they saw the recordings. They believe us. Hale nodded. Good. We did not come to kill soldiers. Our enemy is the Empire. Another officer approached. "Sir, the Empire is gathering a massive fleet around Valek Prime." Hale tilted his head slightly, as if considering something he already expected. "They will try to stop us," he said. "But they still do not understand." The officer hesitated. "Sir, what if the Empire offers peace?" Hale's voice became quiet. "We are not here for war. We are here for truth. If they surrender the Council peacefully, we will not fire a single shot." "And if they don't?" the officer asked. Hale turned to face him. The blue visor on his helmet glowed softly. "Then we show them," he said, "why humanity survived the dark." Back on Valek Prime, the Empire held an emergency broadcast. The Emperor himself appeared on every screen, tall, robed, trying to look calm. "Citizens of the Empire," he began, "do not trust these human lies. They forged these images to turn you against us. Humanity was weak. Humanity fell. And now they seek revenge." But before he could continue, millions of screens glitched. The image of the Emperor froze. Then the broadcast changed. The human commander appeared instead, helmeted, silent, standing against a background of stars. Gasps erupted across the Empire. The Emperor shouted off-screen, demanding control be restored. But the humans had hijacked the entire network. Finally, Commander Hale spoke. "We do not lie," he said. "We show you the truth your leaders hid. We do not come for your worlds. We come for the ones who let Earth burn." The hologram behind him shifted, showing the final days of Earth once again. Burning cities. Broken cries. A desperate last message from humanity's past. All of it recorded. All of it real. "We will arrive at Valek Prime soon," Hale continued. "If the Council steps forward, no blood will be shed. If they hide, then the galaxy will watch what happens next." The message ended. Millions of citizens stared at their screens in silence. Some felt fear. Some felt guilt. Some felt anger not at humans, but at the Empire that betrayed them all. In the throne room, Councillor Varin trembled with fury. "They dare challenge us publicly? They dare threaten the capital?" Councillor Tress looked at him with tired eyes. "They are not threatening us, Varin," he said softly. "They are warning us." Outside, alarms began to sound. The human fleet was already on its way. And for the first time in the Empire's long history, they did not know how to stop what was coming. The human fleet moved across the stars like a silent storm. Dozens of dark warships cut through space in perfect formation. Their engines glowed with soft blue light, but made no sound, only a low vibration that sensors could barely detect. Every ship was built for survival in impossible places. Every hull carried the scars of battles fought in the unknown. At the center of the formation, the flagship Iron Resolve led the way. Commander Hale stood on the bridge, watching Valek Prime grow larger on the main screen. The bright world looked peaceful from afar, like a place untouched by war or betrayal. His voice was calm. "How long until arrival?" 3 hours, Commander," an officer replied. Hale nodded. "Continue on course. No weapons active." The officer hesitated. "Sir, the Empire is preparing thousands of ships. Their entire home defense fleet." "I know," Hale said quietly. "They will choose fear before reason. Old habits." On Valek Prime, fear had already spread far beyond the council chambers. The city streets were filled with rushing citizens, trying to buy supplies, trying to flee, trying to understand what was happening. Some shouted, "Humans are monsters." Others shouted back, "No, the Empire is lying. They hid the truth." And many stood silent, confused, torn between two histories, one taught by the Empire and one revealed by humanity. Above the capital, the Imperial Grand Fleet gathered. Massive battleships, carriers, destroyers, and drones created a shield around the planet, thousands of ships ready to fight. But inside the flagship of the Imperial Fleet, Admiral Siros felt none of the confidence their numbers suggested. He studied the records from Cardos 7. He watched the human message over and over again. He looked at the data of the patrol fleet's destruction. 1 human ship. 1. had destroyed a formation that should have survived anything. His officers stood quietly around him. Finally Siros spoke. "We are not fighting a normal enemy. We are fighting the consequences of our leaders." A junior officer shifted nervously. "Admiral, do you think we can win?" Siros did not answer immediately. He thought of Earth. He thought of the recordings. He thought of the Empire's lies. Finally he sighed. "No," he said softly. "Not today." Back on the Iron Resolve, a communication officer approached Commander Hale. "Sir, the Empire is broadcasting a warning. They demand we turn back or face destruction." Hale didn't react. "Have they responded to our request for peaceful surrender of the Council?" "No, sir." Hale looked at the screen showing Volek Prime. "Then they have made their choice." He turned to the crew. "Begin wide-range transmission." A moment later, his voice echoed across the entire system. "People of Volek Prime, we come not to destroy your world. We come for those who betrayed ours. Stay in your homes. Do not fight for the Council. They will not fight for you." His voice was steady, measured, almost gentle. "We do not want war. But we are not afraid of it." The message ended. In the Imperial Palace, Councillor Varen hissed with rage. "They dare threaten us again. We will crush them." But Councillor Tress stepped forward. "Enough. You saw the recordings. You know what we did." Varen turned on him. "You would betray the Empire?" "No," Tress said sadly. "The Empire betrayed itself long ago." Outside the palace, crowds gathered. They held screens showing the Earth recordings. They demanded answers. The city was no longer loyal. It was angry. It was awakening. The human fleet slowed as it approached the planet. Hundreds of Imperial ships aimed their weapons. The air on the bridge grew tense. "Commander," an officer whispered, "they're locking on to us." Hale stepped forward, posture calm and unshaken. "Hold position," he said. "But, sir—" "Hold," Hale repeated. The fleet stopped. Silent. Waiting. Commander Hale looked at Volek Prime and spoke softly. "The Empire must choose. Surrender the Council, or fire the first shot." The stars seemed to hold their breath. The galaxy waited. And Volek Prime prepared for the moment that would decide its fate. The sky above Volek Prime had never been so crowded. Thousands of Imperial ships floated in formation like a metal shield. Cannons glowed with charged energy. Drone swarms circled like angry insects. It was the largest defensive force the Empire had ever gathered. But it was not gathered out of confidence. It was gathered out of fear. At the center of the formation, Admiral Siros stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship Eternal Rule. His crew waited for his command. Their hands hovered over controls, but none dared move. Every screen showed the same terrifying sight. The human fleet. Silent. Waiting. Unshaken. Siros swallowed hard. "Have they made any moves?" A nervous officer replied, "No, Admiral. Their weapons are offline. They remain in holding position." Siros closed his eyes for a moment. They were not hiding their intentions. They were waiting for the Empire to choose. "Commander Hale gave us a chance," Siros murmured. "A chance the Council refuses to take." On the planet's surface, Volek Prime's capital city had become a storm of voices. Citizens crowded the streets, watching the sky with fear and anger. Screens everywhere replayed the recordings from Earth, proof of betrayal, proof of lies. Families cried as they saw human children on the ground of a burning world. Older citizens whispered apologies, even though they had nothing to do with the Empire's crime. Students marched. Workers abandoned their jobs. Even some soldiers walked out of the barracks, refusing to defend leaders who had lied for generations. "The Council must answer," someone shouted. "The Empire betrayed Earth," another cried. The crowd grew louder. And inside the palace, the Council heard every voice. Councillor Varen paced angrily in the throne chamber. "They are turning against us. They dare to question the Empire." Councillor Tress calmly replied, "They are questioning us, Varen. And they are right to." The Emperor, silent until now, stood from his throne. His voice was heavy. The humans have given us a choice. We surrender, or we start a war the galaxy has already lost. Varen spun toward him. You cannot be serious. We cannot bow to Deathworlders. We would lose everything. Tress stepped forward. If we do not surrender, we lose everything anyway, and millions will die with us. But Varen was beyond reason. I will not surrender. Not to them. He stormed out of the hall. Tress looked at the Emperor quietly. If he reaches the military relay, he will order the fleet to fire. The Emperor looked tired, older than he truly was. Then we must stop him. Above the planet, alarms suddenly began to sound across the Eternal Rule. Admiral, an officer shouted. Incoming transmission from the palace. Siros straightened. Put it through. Varen's furious face appeared on every screen. This is Counselor Varen. Admiral Siros, you will fire on the human fleet at once. That is an order. Gasps filled the bridge. Siros clenched his jaw. Counselor Varen, with respect, that is suicide. Varen's eyes burned with rage. I said fire. Do not question me. Siros looked around the bridge. His crew looked back, not with loyalty, but fear and doubt. Siros took a slow breath. No. The bridge fell silent. Varen's face twisted with disbelief. No. You refuse an imperial order. Siros stood tall. I refuse to murder my crew. I refuse to repeat the Empire's greatest crime. And I refuse to start a war against a people we abandoned to die. Varen screamed incoherently, but Siros cut the transmission. The bridge exhaled in relief. Sir, an officer said quietly, what now? Siros looked out at the human fleet. We wait, and we pray the Council sees reason. But inside the palace, Varen did not stop. He reached the military override console. His hands shook with fury as he slammed in emergency commands. The room lit red. Warning lights flashed across the entire planet. A single command was issued to every Imperial ship. Prepare to fire. The Empire had made its choice. And above Valek Prime, the human fleet watched the first spark of war burn to life. The order spread through the Imperial fleet like a shockwave. Prepare to fire. Every ship received it. Every cannon charged. Every missile bay opened. But the crews hesitated. They had seen the truth. They had watched Earth burn on their screens. They knew what the Empire had done. And now they were being ordered to kill the very people their leaders had betrayed. Admiral Siros stood on the bridge of the Eternal Rule, fists clenched. Cancel that order. Shut down all weapon systems. His crew sprang into action. But the override command wasn't coming from the fleet, it came from the palace. The system ignored Siros entirely. It's taking control of all ships, an officer shouted. We can't stop it. Siros stared at the human fleet outside. Commander Hale's ships remained still, almost peaceful, waiting. Waiting for the Empire to choose. Inside the palace, alarms blared as citizens pushed closer and closer to the gates. The guards didn't fire. Many had thrown down their weapons. Some even joined the protesters. Counselor Tress ran down the hall toward the military relay, shouting at the guards blocking his way. You have to let me inside. Varen has triggered an auto-fire sequence. One guard looked terrified. We can't open it, sir. It's locked to council codes. Tress took a deep breath. Then step aside. The guards hesitated, then moved out of his way. No one wanted to stand between the galaxy and a war. When Tress reached the console, Varen was already there, smashing buttons in panic. You fool! Tress shouted. You're going to doom us all. Varen whirled around. His eyes were wild. Humans must be destroyed. They threaten everything. They threaten nothing. Tress barked back. You are the threat. Your pride will kill millions. Varen lifted a weapon. Step away. Tress didn't move. You would shoot me, he said quietly, to protect your lie? I would shoot anyone who stands with the humans, Varen spat. But he never pulled the trigger. A guard behind him spoke. "Sir, lower your weapon." Varen turned. "You dare!" The guard fired a stun bolt. Varen collapsed to the floor. The guard looked at Tress. "End this, counselor. Please." Tress nodded, heart pounding, and rushed to the console. Above the planet, the human fleet saw the Empire's weapons charging. Commander Hale finally gave a single quiet order. "Defensive veil. Non-lethal only." Blue light shimmered across every human ship as invisible shields came alive. On the Eternal Rule, Syros braced himself. "Here it comes." Energy burst from thousands of Imperial cannons, only to vanish on contact. No explosion. No fire. Just silence. The shots dissolved like dust in the wind. Gasps filled the Imperial bridge. What did they do?" an officer whispered. Syros understood. "They disabled our weapons, without harming a single ship." He exhaled shakily. "They don't want to kill us." In the palace, Tress slammed the shutdown key. The emergency order stopped spreading. The system cooled. Weapons across the Empire powered down. A moment later, Commander Hale's voice echoed across every screen. "People of Valek Prime, you have seen the truth. We will not fire. We will not invade. We ask only for the surrender of those responsible for Earth's fall." The palace doors burst open, not from force, but from thousands of citizens pushing inside. The guards didn't stop them. Some joined them. Some fell to their knees, ashamed. They surrounded what remained of the council. Varen was carried away in chains. The Emperor stepped down from his throne, weary and defeated. Tress raised his hands and spoke clearly. "We surrender the council to humanity. Let judgment fall on us, not our people." Hours later, Commander Hale and the human delegation walked through the palace gates. Citizens watched in silence, not with fear, but with respect. Hale addressed the crowd. "We do not come as conquerors. The Empire has fallen because lies cannot stand forever." He paused. "Let the galaxy rebuild. Let truth guide you. Humanity asks for nothing except this. Never again allow leaders to hide their crimes behind your trust." The people bowed their heads. Hale looked toward the stars. "Earth is gone," he said softly. "But its memory will protect this galaxy, long after we leave." The humans returned to their ships. The fleet turned away from Valek Prime. No worlds were taken. No cities burned. No blood was spilled. Humanity came for justice. And when the debt was repaid, they simply went home, into the dark from which they had returned.